There's a master. Phew. Yeah, there you go. Now that should be pretty good to load.
No.
Oh, is the shader's not loaded? Trigger a layer that has some like stuff in it. The master might not have the. Yeah, there you go. And then you just eject and then put in whatever you need.
Nice.
This one doesn't have the.
Is that like your?
No, it does. It's just not. It's the older one. You're gonna have to go to a different one.
Is that like your default shader, or
No.
or is that?
It's just a preset that give it at some point. Is there a layout? Is there a layout one in there that just says layout?
All of these are procedural?
Restore all is going to probably put everything back on screen, but then you're not going to have any media loaded. But that should be okay. Try dropping something in there now.
And around, you'll see a perfect mandala forming. It will literally show the mathematical configurations and arrangements of the vibrational quality of these instruments. And so when you're in your journey tonight, and we'll do a little bit of exercise to get ourselves to a very open and receptive space. Feel the vibration
hippie enclave, exactly.
Or the experience.
Why do you have to cut it?
Well, because I don't want to. If I pull it, I don't want to just I put kind of a lot of tape on it, so I don't want to take off more than I can. I don't want to peel it back and then have it all come off and then fix it. Because the way I had it, I did like a little cap first. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So it's not stuck. It's not only stuck around the outside.
This looks delightfully surrealistic right now.
Yeah, I'm like reaching into the other universe,
Like
cutting a hole in it.
The belly button of the universe.
Nice.
She needs a C-section.
And you sound like you're standing right behind me, talking in my ear, whispering in my ear.
Did you do anything fun here that needed extra privacy?
Well, Tim brought his family in, so I think he didn't want to freak them out, probably. They are from China, surveillance state,
It's true.
Yeah.
No, it's just a lot of people actually comment on it.
Yeah, people get a little creeped out by it. They overthink it,
Why would it be a camera?
Yeah, why would there be a camera? But the thing is like like the camera I'm really shooting on is totally hidden. So like I wouldn't be recording on the obvious camera. Hey, whoa.
Oh, it's a beauty. So is that controlling the keep now?
No.
That's for here.
This is the surface suite we're using for here. Yeah. So this is kind of like the stripped down version that we've been working on, like a kind of like a user friendly kind of dumbed down version that just has basic controls and presets. But then this is our surface. This is what we use to control everything, basically.
I love how minimal the typography is.
Well, that's the app really. It's like I kind of wish I had a little more design options on this, but you basically get like 8 colors and just like outlines or a background or outlines or fill and some text. Yeah, well, you get let's see, you get 8 colors, but one of them is brown. So I mean, yeah. So that's like colors here.
you like think of a shape and then think what kind of equation will give it to me, or like which kind of
Sometimes.
code will give me a certain shape, or you just like see what the code will bring up?
Depends. I mean, do it different ways depending on where I start. It's just random. And it, you know, it doesn't always work out. It's just like you hit a dead end. Okay. It's just mush.
It's a different way of looking at VR, for sure, and I think that that's a very intriguing way. And it is curious that people are just thinking about that more and more, and there are more VR experience specifically for meditations, for things that are trying to bring people down to the baseline. I think everyone is trying to figure that out here as well. We're trying to see what works and how can we make it better. And so one thing I was talking about with the smoothing the transition, that would be a huge part of it. Yeah, how do you curate that experience?
Yes, good. I think you're like doing like, I don't know, like from what I experienced, you're doing like an amazing job in curating like a group thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like encouraging like a group interaction.
Yeah. I mean, not to encourage a group interaction. I almost feel like the space kind of allows that because of the acoustic resonance that happens in here. So it's very easy to have dialogue in there. Like sound bounces around in a way that it just feels like I don't have to shout. I can get the person at that corner. I can get his attention pretty easily. Like sound just has a more, almost like a magnified effect in here. I mean, it's not. It's also given the size of it. It's also feels more like it's a living rooms kind of environment. Yeah. So
like
psychologically,
a bedroom, because we're sitting on something that's soft like a bed.
Exactly. So psychologically, it just feels like this is a comfortable place and is manageable. There not an enormous amount of people in there, and you can kind of get to know the person next to you or the person across from you.
So that's like about size, acoustics.
I think so. I mean that has a
comfort
effect to it. Yeah, definitely. And compare that to VR is like you have this on your face. You can't really interact with the other person next to you that are having that. You can interact with them virtually, but that's one interaction, but it's not physical, kind of more tactile kind of experience.
I got one word for you, my friend.
Yes.
Teledildonics.
Teledildonics.
Look it up.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What would you say is the most easiest, most extravagant way to, like, what's the most easiest, most trippiest visual? Like a fractal, Like a fractal.
Yeah, fractal's pretty good, yeah. Let's see. Easiest.
I think what works really well, especially in dome versus like a flat surface, is because of the three-dimensional space that you have created with something that is more feeling like multi-layers, that has a depth to it, that works quite well in here. It's almost like you forget how where the limit of the ceiling is at.
Yeah, right. The structure dissolves.
The depth perception is kind of different.
Let me talk about the idea that I put myself in a rut because I don't know how to make it. Okay.
Oh yeah, well, that's cool. That's how you learn things, right?
But it's a nice idea.
Yeah.
It comes from like physics and being a hippie and trying to generate genuine human connections and try make something that I can like bring to a music festival. I imagine a shader that takes like two people that are facing each other
Mm-hmm.
and are close to each other, and in a function of time,
Mm-hmm.
generate a little Big Bang for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So like in this environment, I imagine like okay, like it's a capsule, like a magnetic field
Okay.
that's connecting like few people.
Okay.
Like can we recognize humans and
Not
try
probably
to
with like this
encapsulate them?
camera, but I mean, because if you're lighting just the light in the room with the projection, then the camera's gonna freak out like it wasn't freaking out before.
So I'm thinking about maybe
So that's why depth camera would be ideal, because depth
Uh.
camera is like basically is ignoring the optical information, and it's just it's just getting the actual distance to objects, and a Connect is I've got a really open API, so it's really easy to like integrate into stuff without any too much custom stuff.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the depth data, you can there's then all kinds of stuff you can do using that as like data, for the input for your shaders or for your layers or whatever. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm thinking maybe you want to do. Have you worked with Touch Designer at all? You probably like particle system is kind of coming to mind, or like like fluid simulation probably.
Particle
Something-
system or fluid
Yeah,
simulation.
and then use like the use the depth camera data or whatever camera data you have to disrupt the system, basically. So you would have you would have whatever your fluid motion of whatever it is, particles or whatever.
How about like
But particles, when I say particles, like I mean that's
I'm
that's
familiar-
the model, but you can make it look like a lot of different things.
I'm not familiar with particle systems only in like game engines.
Yeah. It's implementable, like in GLSL. Another really kind of like robust and easy way to do particle system stuff, and also with depth camera would be processing. Also has some good stuff that's really easy to use. So these are my first initial thoughts.
So Connect processing.
Yeah, possibly Touch Designer. I love VDMX. It's my favorite app. But for this particular specific thing that you're talking about doing, like I've seen it implemented in, with these other tools pretty well. So, so that's kind of where I would start looking. And Touch Designer's got a pretty good, like sharing community. So there's a lot of people have built stuff that you can you can use as like modules and just kind of build off of. Definitely there's some particle system stuff and some depth camera stuff that you could probably start with somebody else's projects or code and then kind of fit it to what you want to do with it. So it's really the parts are pretty straightforward. I mean, so you have your gathering data, which is just like where the people are in the space, right? You're analyzing that data and you're going to use like some very simple parameters to determine what drives the output as far as like what the input is. So, yeah. So then I guess you could do other stuff like how another event might be. You might be able to detect. Okay, there's two fields now. There's one field, like how tightly integrated that field is. Like it's the difference between like this and like embracing.
Or like embracing.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah, you could probably like detect like something like that. I think probably too, just from like very raw data. Yeah, well, think about it in just terms of like the raw data, right? Okay, you're just looking at like the positions of like the physical space that I'm taking up within like this frame,
Sure.
right? And you're just analyzing that in a purely mathematical sense, like as like a shape or an object, right? So initially you have two objects because it's two people, right? When the bounds of those two objects no longer are make two objects anymore, when now you have just one, which should be fairly easy to detect with algorithmically, because you're just like looking at the bounds of like a particular shape or a particular object, right? So when two objects become one, that could be a trigger for something, right? And then you could also be analyzing the volume, how much area, the area, I guess, if it was 2D, of how much space is being taken up inside the frame by the two bodies. That then one body, and then if it constricts down to a certain point, that's a certain percentage of the entire frame. Then that can be a trigger for something else as well. So.
So maybe that's
And then
how-
if there's some, if you detect some rhythmic motion. then,
Oh yeah, that's.
then you get the big prize.
I love it.
I know that I know what I know. But what I would like to see is the eye who sees me when I know that I know what I know.